Hello, killers and complainers. My name is TB Skyn, and remember some months ago when I said that there was going to be a part 2 to my Sentinels of Light video? Hi, yeah, this is it, it turns out. So I originally wasn't going to do any videos in December at all, because November with Arcane and Rune King and everything that happened, I was feeling the end of the year burnout, let's put it like that. Like, I don't really take vacations ever. And so December, I was still like, okay, we're gonna not do anything in December, because we're just gonna slow down, we're just gonna rest and recover from the near-death state that Arcane sent me into. But then circumstances changed for the better. Like, they changed in a good way. I'm very happy about it, and woohoo, yay, good changes. But also circumstances that require a little bit of extra funding near the end of the year. So this is the first video in what I'm calling Don't Stress December, which is to say videos that are not supremely well edited and not heavily researched or scripted. I'm pretty much just extemporizing into a microphone right now. That are sort of like low effort videos, which, like, that doesn't sound nice to say, does it? Low effort? Low effort in the sense of I'm not putting a ton of production value into them, but like I'm still gonna make an effort while we're here, like while I'm talking to entertain you and say stuff that might be interesting, useful, or cathartic to you. And that's gonna be my content output. Well, I have one actually decently, like, probably put together video-ish. I hope it's going to be probably put together video coming up near the end of the month. But besides that, we're just gonna chill. We're gonna have a chill time as I complain incessantly about the writing in a 6 months old event that pretty much everyone has probably forgotten about by now. Because that's what we're doing. The Sentinels of Light event, I don't think it's any secret, was not well received by me. It was not well received by me. Some people, like, I feel like there is an echo chamber effect where we get the sense that more people hated it than really did. I'm sure there were a lot of players who were just like, oh, hey, that was kind of fun, and they didn't really have any complaints about it. And when you don't have any complaints about something, you don't go on Twitter or YouTube to make long videos about how you don't have any complaints or any particular praise. Like, most people probably felt like, yeah, sure, that was fine. It was like, but among the lore community, certainly, the Sentinels of Light was not popular. I have a well-edited, well-researched, well-scripted, at least I think so, I mean, you may disagree, video on the channel about the Sentinels of Light event. There's a link to that in the description, and if you want some more put-together thoughts about it, well, you can go there and get them. What we're going to be doing in this video is that we are going to be going through the first 2 parts of the first chapter. Pretty much just, like, I have some footage here, courtesy of a YouTube channel by the name of Twisted, who there will be a link to them down in the description as well, who just posted, like, a full playthrough of at least one path of the story that sort of touches on all of the things that I want to complain about. So we're going to go through that accelerated pace. Like, we're not going to stick around on every single line. We'll talk about the things that worked about Sentinels of Light, because there were some good things. Like, there are good moments. There are good things in here. And we're going to... yeah, we're going to get to the stuff that doesn't as well. Oh boy, like, once we get to the Bilgewater chapter, let me tell you, even after Rune King, I still have some thoughts. So let's open up with it. And, like, the event opens in a pretty good in medias res little opening, which is that we are after the cinematic trailer when Viego has shown up and is like, I will have my queen. Why does he have a Russian accent? I can't do a Spanish accent. I think that's what he has. And Senna and Lucian are like, well, okay, shit, the apocalypse is happening. And they're going to the Sentinels of Light headquarters to see, okay, could we have some more Sentinels of Light to fight this giant army of the undead? And it turns out, no, they can't. Not so much, because they arrive at the headquarters, and this is where the game, this little game, it is a game. No, I don't want to be snarky about that. It is a game. It's a visual novel style game. It's not super interactive, but it is interactive. It is a video game. This is where it establishes our point of view character, who is Rookie. And having Rookie, like, a lot of people sort of complained about Rookie, but no, that's genuinely a good idea. It would not make sense to put you inside the perspective of one of the champions. Because you need, like, first of all, because for those people who don't really follow the lore, there kind of needs to be an audience POV character who is as ignorant as the audience about most things, who can then ask the questions that are necessary for exposition and have things explained to them, so that it's like, so that the audience goes, oh, so that's how it works. Ah, I get it. Okay, because otherwise, like, most people don't really read the lore because Riot is bad at publicizing it. So it's a good idea to have Rookie. But as Lucian and Senna emerge and meet Rookie, we establish immediately a pretty bad dynamic, right? Senna's like, where are all the other Sentinels? Who's your commanding officer? And then you can select one of two options, basically saying, well, they're all dead and I'm the only one left. To which Lucian immediately is like, you mean to tell me we sailed halfway across the ocean to recruit one damn Sentinel? Like, immediately, you better be the best damn Sentinel in history. How many years of experience do you have? Would you be upset if I said none? Are you kidding me? The kid's a rook. Like, so immediately, and this is something a lot of people complain about with Senna and Lucian, immediately there is a pretty hostile relationship established where Lucian is like, well, this piece of shit is a useless asshole that I don't want to deal with. Fuck off, kid. You really get a very hostile, very unsympathetic sense of these characters. You don't get the best relationship with them. And that's a problem that persists into the rest of the visual novel because, and this is something I really don't like about it, it keeps allowing you to make Rookie this completely flippant jokester idiot who like refuses to take anything seriously and just shitposts his way through life. To which, like, the other characters in the group, like, understandably respond with a not, like, oh yeah, the world is ending and you're cracking jokes. Like, they're understandably not that happy about it. Because in this scene, it's understandable that Lucian is very frustrated because he's just seen Viego nearly kill his wife, and they came to the Sentinels of Light headquarters just hoping to recruit at least a few people, and then there's, like, one little idiot kid with no gun there. So, like, yes, his frustration is understandable. Like, that initial hostility is understandable. The trouble is that it sets a tone. Like, this is your first introduction to these characters, and like it's like they just immediately show up and start making pretty mean demands of you. And like when you tell them that, like, oh well, I don't actually have a gun yet because I'm a rookie and I haven't been assigned any weapons, then Lucian is like, oh, ain't that perfect? I'm so glad we wasted. Like, he lashes out with this sarcasm, which again, like, contextually, sure, it's understandable that Lucian responds that way, but I just don't think it's a good way to introduce the characters because you're supposed to like them. Like, you're supposed to root for these people, and this is not a great way to start it, frankly. And again, this wouldn't be a problem if it was like, because like the idea is that there's this harsh introduction scene, right? Like where they're like, oh my god, this useless fucking rookie, what a pointless waste of time. And then Rookie's like, well, actually I can use the Wayfinder, and then as you adventure along with them, they sort of build a sense of respect for you. That would be all well and good, except, of course, you can keep choosing to make Rookie like an idiot meme lord shitposter who doesn't take anything seriously, at which point they'll just keep being fucking annoyed with you, and that really muddles it up because the story requires there to be a building relationship between Rookie and the other characters where they come to respect Rookie more and more. But you can just constantly undercut that, and the visual novel just can't account for it. Like, there isn't a relationship system like there is in more developed visual novels where, like, you lose loyalty points or affection points with various characters, or you don't get to see certain scenes if you don't, like, earn a certain level of their respect, or some characters respond better to certain responses than other ones, so you can, like, have to choose whose relationships you build. There isn't any of that. There's just a multiple choice list that will take you through a fairly linear path with, like, at best a few cul-de-sacs. And so the story has to is predicated on the idea that there is this building relationship between these characters, but if you can also just undercut it so bad that it doesn't, like, by the end it just doesn't feel earned even a little bit. And as a lot of players complain about, like, what's frustrating there is that clearly these are the fun options, right? Like, clearly these lines were written to be kind of funny, to be kind of like to be lighthearted and to be sort of enjoyable and to be goofy. But when you try them, the game just kind of punches you back and goes, how dare you try to lighten the mood? On the one hand, But then on the other hand, you have like Olaf and Ringar and Pike and like and even Gwen, like just being these comedy relief characters, complete goofball versions of themselves. That is like, it's like where I'm just sitting there like, where the fuck is the tone in this thing? Like where the tone is so all over the map, because on the one hand it is like the apocalypse, the end of the world, Viego's invading everything, and then on the other hand it's simultaneously Guardians of the Galaxy goofy fun times with Senna and the pals. And the game, like the story just can't square that particular circle, because that's a really difficult thing to do. I don't want to denigrate the writers. That's a fucking hard thing to do, and I'm sure the reason why they did that is because like the data that they had or the demand of the game was that we want partly, we want it to take the lore seriously, we want it to be a really serious thing, but we also don't want it to be too serious. We also want it to be fun, because what players really liked about the Spirit Blossom event was it was fun, it was it was goofy fun times with dating sims, that's what the players liked, so we have to have that in there. But then also at the same time it's also supposed to be dark and serious and very taking the lore like very seriously, but also it's supposed to, like, you get these contradictory demands, and that's, I don't know that for sure, but like in game development that's extremely fucking common, that you get this constant drip feed of contradictory demands that you have to square as a writer. And the story just doesn't manage it in the long run. We'll talk about that more as it goes on. And here, and again, it's like that. Like here, you've just been attacked by ghouls, right? Like you've been attacked by the Black Mist. And, like ghouls have descended upon you, and Senna and Lucian have sort of barely managed to defend you. And you're like, that was the Black Mist, wasn't it? Like you're a rookie. You've just had your first combat encounter. You're terrified. And you express that fear. And then how does Lucian and Senna respond? And Senna's like, I see someone paid attention in training. Check out the book smarts on Rookie. Like, they fucking just snark at you. Like, they're just being assholes to you. Like, and that's the other thing about the tone is, like, even if you try to go through the story as Rookie, choosing the serious options, like being there and, like, taking things seriously and, like, they still just fucking shit on you. Like, they still give you shit. Because, again, the tone is all over the map. If there was a consistent tone where everyone is always ribbing each other, like there's always this sort of lighthearted Guardians of the Galaxy thing going on, that would probably work. Like, because the player then would have, okay, that's where we are, is we're trading jokes back and forth. It's a sort of jokey joke, Joss Whedon style, sort of informal adventure kind of thing. Fair enough. Then you can play along with it. But it's just, it can't, the mode just never makes a real decision about the tone. Like, again, this is like right after these two people have just snarked at you for being scared, then the tone, like, immediately snaps into a different position. Like, Senna places her hand over her heart as if feeling for something. Yeah, a history. Senna, what's wrong? It's strange, Lucian. I can't get used to it. She's gone. When I was in danger back there. Oh, like where she's lamenting losing part of Isolde's soul that was trapped. It's like the tone just snaps from these two people giving you shit into like serious, deep, emotional, like exploring some of the core of the relationship between Senna and Lucian, which is the part of Sentinels of Light I liked, is that it does focus really, really hard on the husband and wife dynamic between Lucian and Senna, and like the ways in which they have to, like, especially Lucian has to learn to trust her, and the way that Senna has to navigate his trauma of losing her, like the tensions that exist there. That's really good. But oh my god, like, could you pick a tone for a given scene, please? It would be nice if you could. Like, it just, it's like, oh, it's very frustrating because, like, again, if it was more consistent, like if the tone had been better managed throughout the thing, yeah, you know, I wouldn't have minded it so much if it had just had like consistent, but and this is also where we get the introduction to Gwen, right? Who's like a central character here because she's the one who makes all the Sentinel gears for people somehow. She's the skin designer of the event, and she is fundamentally a lighthearted character. Like that's just built into who she is that she's a lighthearted character. She's this sort of spunky, adorable battle princess. Like, that's 100% her personality, because that's the personality she was given by Isolde. When Isolde created her, is that she was this sort of spunky, adventurous battle princess, like straight out of essentially a magical girl manga, for the story. And again, there's that question of tone, where if the tone of the rest of it had been serious, and Gwen was like, maybe Gwen and Olaf were like the only comic relief, I think that balance would have worked a lot better, and I think people would have been a lot less resentful of it than they are of like the ways that Rengar and Pike are just reduced to absolute joke characters in this thing, which again we'll talk about it as we get into it, which just feels even more painful after Ruined King did such good work in making Pike like actually a really interesting character. But yeah, it's like the problems with the Sentinels of Light event emerge like immediately in this thing, I think. And it also emerges, one of the other problems is like right now we've been through two scenes, right? Like we've been through the first scene where it's like, oh, we are attacked by wraiths, and then we cut to we have then we cut to you need to do a battle in order to survive the wraiths. Then we get introduced to Gwen, and she's like, oh hey, there's more wraiths on the way, and then we go here, and then we get dragged out of the story in order to be sent into, you have to play X number of battles in order to progress. Like, and that's the other thing about the tone of the story. Another thing that really fucking breaks the tone in half is that it has all of these enforced breaks where the visual novel has to, like, and I'm sure the writers weren't particularly happy with this, but the visual novel has to grind to a screeching halt. Like, it has to invent some reason for why the story has to stop now, and we have to get kicked back out to the menu screen to say, you need to play X number of games to collect points in order to unlock the next of the blah-de-blah, whatever, right? It has to do that over and over and over and over again. Like, it can only have a story scene that is so long before it has to kick you out to the menu screen and tell you to play 14 normal games or however long it took to gather the points. It has to do that. And that also just completely breaks the tone apart, because like you get this massive inconsistency of tone from scene to scene sometimes that can really just kind of mess with it. And it also messes with your immersion. Like I certainly felt like watching through these when I did that. Like, I never played the Sentinels of Light event myself because, good lord, playing League of Legends, like, how low can you possibly sink? I'm kidding. I never really engaged with the thing itself. I just watched like a compilation of the cutscenes, and certainly I felt like even having this compilation, which I can play at 600% speed and go through as fast as I want, even I felt the jerk of like, oops, the scene has to stop here now, and then kicked out to the menu, and then go back in and sort of try and reestablish a tone, reestablish a dynamic, reestablish what's going on, because you have to assume that the player has been away from the story for like 45 minutes at the very, like, not only for, like, for hours. Like, you have to assume that it's been hours between when the player last engaged with the story, which again, like, as a writing thing, just, it causes so much trouble in terms of just trying to keep anything consistent and like trying to establish a flow. And I feel that throughout the entire event is the flow of the thing is just constantly interrupted in a really annoying way every time it gets interesting. Like this guy, the Burrow Sentinel, holy shit, what a cool character design. That would be great if we got to see this character in the thing. He has his own sprite and everything. Oh, that would be awesome if we actually get to meet him at some point. No, we don't get to meet him. He doesn't show up. He's just here as a hologram, getting Emperor Palpatined into the Sentinels of Light headquarters, which is where one of the most infuriating writing choices in this thing for Senna, especially, and also for Lucian, show up. This Sentinel, right? Like, we're in the Sentinels of Light headquarters, and this Sentinel beams in to send a message to the Sentinels of Light headquarters, and Lucian and Senna, two of the most experienced Sentinels of Light on the face of Valoran, go like, what is the hologram? What is the thing in our headquarters that does things? I have never seen it before. What could this thing possibly be? Like, they turn into these, like, all of a sudden they're the rookies. And here, remember what I said. You need a point of view character who can be ignorant and ask the questions that the other characters already know the answers to, right? Like, you need a point of view character who to whom things can be explained so that they are in turn explained to you. What's happening here is that the writing is using Lucian and Senna as the point of view characters. But we have Rookie. Like, that was the whole point of having Rookie, is that Rookie is supposed to be the one who doesn't know, and everyone else are supposed to be the people who exposit to Rookie, tell Rookie how things work. That's also part of the relationship dynamic between Senna and Lucian and Rookie, is that they teach Rookie how to be a Sentinel over the course of the adventure, and then by the end, Rookie is a full-fledged Sentinel who helps to save the world, right? Like, that's supposed to be the arc, but then you enter the headquarters for the first time, and Lucian and Senna seem completely fucking ignorant about the basic functionality of the things that are, like, did no one ever bother to tell them? Like, did Senna, who's captain in the freaking Light Sentinels, one of the, like, no one just they've been fighting undead for decades on this goddamn bitch on Earth, and no one thought to tell them that you have a holographic image projector in the headquarters that can all, like a Wayfinder that can also teleport people. It's like, and so now we have the Buru Sentinel telling the two veteran experienced Sentinels that this is the Serpent Isle Sentinel base. I've activated your communications portal. They didn't know about the communications portal? Why not? How? How did they not know? I don't. And this is so frustrating because, like, if we didn't have Rookie, like if there was no Rookie, then okay, you could make the choice to have Lucian and Senna be like, oh, we didn't know that that's how that thing worked. But even then, like, you have Gwen. Like, Gwen is right there. You could have Lucian and Senna. If you didn't have Rookie, you could have Lucian and Senna explain it to Gwen, who's literally born yesterday. Like it's such a bizarre choice that makes Lucian and Senna come across as incompetent and unprepared, and like they don't understand the fundamental functioning of their own central headquarters. It's baffling. Like, it's a baffling decision that I don't know if it was like, I have to imagine someone on the writing team was like, well, if Lucian and Senna knew about the communications portal the whole time, then there would be a plot hole, because then why wouldn't they have used it to something like some pedant, and like, I'm a pedant too, so that's not really criticism. Some pedant at Riot will have looked at it and gone, well, this technically creates a plot hole with some of the stories we've written before, so like that's what it feels like. Is like it's someone decided, like, ooh, if they know about this thing, then it's kind of like you question, like, why doesn't Batman just call Superman? Like, if the Justice League exists and Batman is up against this superpowered villain, why doesn't he just call Superman to, like, show up and pick the guy up and take him to jail? Like, why doesn't he? Like, it feels like that sort of thing, and it's my least favorite kind of writing like that, where you sort of anticipate the pedantry of your worst, not your worst fans, they're not terrible or anything, but like you sort of anticipate the worst criticisms of your story that don't actually engage with any of the narrative, that just sort of obsess over minutiae, and then you try to sort of you sort of try to get ahead of it, which is what Disney has been doing with, like, their remakes, like when they remade Beauty and the Beast, and now, like, they're sort of trying to pre-correct things that were raised on fucking CinemaSins as plot holes. It's like, that shouldn't happen, and I don't know. That's just a feeling. Like, that's just what it feels like to me when Lucian and Senna are made ignorant of, like, oh, hey, the Sentinels of Light have a communications system, and they have a world stone. and Lucian and Senna don't know how it works. Demacia, like, that's thousands of leagues away. Even if we fix our boat, it'll take months to. I see you know little of the secrets of our order. Touch Demacia on the world stone. Like, just explain it to Rookie instead. like, because the only excuse you need why the Sentinels weren't using the, like, world stone teleportation the whole time is no one could use the Wayfinder. Like, that's the only excuse that you need, and yet you come up with this, like, the Buru Sentinel giving Lucian and Senna their mission, right? Like, he's telling them, like, you must visit every region, cleanse them of Viego's influence, and if possible, recruit worthy soldiers to our cause. Why is he like, Senna should be taking that decision. Senna and Lucian should be like, right, well, we need to take charge of the situation. We need to, like, they should be the ones determining the mission. Why the fuck is this random fucker no one has ever heard of Skyping in from outside to deliver the mission parameters? It's so, I don't understand the like someone somewhere must have a good reason why they made that choice. Like it's supposed to make Lucian and Senna more relatable. Like they're also kind of fish out of water struggling to keep up with what's something like that. But it just, I don't know why you would do that. Why would you make them seem ignorant and incompetent? Because that's not what they're supposed to be. Like, they're supposed to be the mom and dad of the group. Like, that's the entire dynamic with the group that is eventually established, is that Lucian is the dad who's constantly worried and sort of trying to take charge of things and like be the man who's protecting his family kind of thing. And Senna is constantly trying to be the mother, like who thinks who thinks in much more of in terms of like her empathy for Gwen. And like they have these two different thinking styles, right? Like that is sort of slightly stereotypically masculine and feminine coded. And that's supposed to be the dynamic. Like Senna is team mom, Lucian is team dad, like disapproving dad, and for that you need them to be competent. You need to fundamentally be like, oh, okay, everyone else looks to them as leaders because they're the ones who know how the fuck shit works around here, right? Like they're the people who know what the mission is, who have a clear vision of what needs to be done. But you have the Buru Sentinels Skyping in to say, oh yeah, by the way, you need to save the world by doing X, Y, and Z. So, like, Buru Sentinel out, like, fucking email me if you run into problems with the printer. Like, But yeah, it's, yeah. There's just one more thing you'll need. Your headquarters should be equipped with a wayfinder. It looks like this, a holographic image of your gun. It's your ticket back to headquarters. You can activate it anywhere in the world and you'll teleport you home. It looks like your gun, Rookie. I guess we know what it does now. It's like, the wayfinder can only be used by the sentinel to whom it was bound. Like, and that's the other contrivance, is like, yeah, it's just, as an introduction, this is weak. This is bad. Anyway, I think I've complained enough about the very introduction. Let's skip on ahead a little bit to when they meet Vayne, because this is another one of those like weird character assassinations I don't understand. Because Vayne is, as she's written in the lore prior to the rise of the Sentinels, a fucking social, like just a blood psychopath who runs around the world murdering monsters and who gets off on it. Like, she gets ecstatic, she gets euphoric at killing monsters. And that's partly because she is profoundly traumatized and has been through some serious, like, she's damaged. Like, she's not doing it just for shits and giggles, she's doing it because she's fucked up, man. But that's the thing about her, like, that's her character. Where she starts at is that she's this hardline, like, shoot first, ask questions, never killer. Like, she's a murderer. She's straight up a serial killer. Who kills things that seem like monsters to her, and who doesn't ask questions or doesn't bother or doesn't care, because she's just after, like, she's after the satisfaction of the kill. She's after her next high. And the transition that's supposed to happen, like Vayne's arc, which I think is really cool, like it's a good arc for the character, is that joining the Sentinels of Light, becoming part of a group, like getting that social connection again, learning to begin to have empathy for the other people, to care, and to be a little bit more tolerant of things that are different for herself. She has this arc where she comes around and it eventually grows into the role of a Sentinel, where, like, she's not unproblematic by the end, but she's like a more rounded person who's capable of seeing the world, like, in like a nuanced way. And then just the comic that was published primarily for the Wild Rift client gets this right. Like, in the introduction for Vayne, the first thing she does is she tries to murder Senna, because Senna is half Wraith, and Vayne is like, well, then you need to be shot with silver arrows, because fuck you. And they kind of have to fight her off and sort of like, hey, hang on, we're also human, like, we're not, it's not, like, Senna is a half Wraith, right? Like, and that's the is that she's partly human enough that Vayne is, like, barely willing to listen, and then you form an alliance. How does it happen in Sentinels of Light? Vayne is just hiding in a tavern. She's like they knock on the door and she's like, yeah, what do you want? Like, she's just sitting in there, like doing fuck all. And then when they, like, sort of push a little bit, she just kind of pulls them inside and goes, hey, you should stay safe because I am here to protect you because I am a heroic character. No, she's not. Vayne is not a heroic character. That's kind of the whole fucking point, is that she's not heroic, but she grows into a form of heroism. That's part, like, that's why her relationship with Graves is so fun, is because, like, they're both sort of similarly completely amoral bastards who take on a greater responsibility as part of their Sentinels of Light. Yeah, like, why would you, like, you had a good scene. Like, there must have been communication that how are we going to do this in the Wild Rift comic? Well, Vayne attacks you. Like, use that as an excuse to boot the player back to the selection screen and make you play 15 normal matches or what the fuck ever. Like, I don't understand why the choice was made to have Vayne just be so chill. And also, apparently, like, sort of integrated into the defenses of Demacia. Like, got that right. Lost most of our guard to those monsters. I don't think I managed to kill a single one. They keep getting back up. And like, oh, I think it's your crossbow. What are you talking about? This baby is loaded with prime silver bolts. More than enough for anyone. That's not how Vayne talks either, by the way. Vayne is not like, this baby is loaded with prime silver bolts. More than enough for any monster. That's not, again, blood psychopath. Like, she's someone who only says whatever words are necessary to get to the next kill. It's, the point is that she doesn't start out as a wisecracking person, but she lightens up over the course of the story, especially through her friendship with Graves, where she sort of starts to lighten up a little bit and, like, develops a bit of a sense of wry humor and becomes more of a person. But in order for that to work, she has to start out as not a person, like barely a person, like this driven, single-minded, monstrous, almost like this person who's as close to the monsters that she's killing as you can be without becoming one. Like that's kind of so. And again, this probably wouldn't bother me. Like, this little thing, and it didn't bother me. Like, when I first saw the Demacia chapter, it didn't bother me at all. It wasn't even like, oh, okay, they just meet her in a tavern and she's not aggressive immediately or fuck or whatever. Like, we hand wave that away because, like, sure, characters act a little out of character or they have different interpretations of the characters. That's fine. But on top of everything else, like, it's not that there's any one thing wrong with Sentinels of Light. It's that there's this accumulation of little annoyances and little things that are just, like, not right, and, like, tone problems and characters being, like, having characteristics forced upon them that don't really square with their main lore in order to, I don't know, establish a dynamic that just become tedious, like, and really they grate on you and they wear you down, and then you eventually just become either tired or angry, like, oh, it upsets me. But moving along, Shyvana's part in this story I liked. This is something I noted in my Shyvana video, is that the idea of Shyvana getting ruined, I really like that. Like, I think that was a really good idea, is that Shyvana is someone who would be vulnerable to Viego's influence, because Viego's influence fundamentally is that he preys on people's darkest emotions. Primarily, he preys on despair. Like, hopelessness and despair are the primary things that he preys on. And if you are worried, if you're scared, if you are like losing confidence and you are becoming hopeless, you become vulnerable to ruination, because that's when Viego can slide in and say, surrender to me. And, like, again, I can't do a Spanish accent, and I will make everything better. Like, just surrender your power and authority and your will to Viego, and he will do everything. He will take care of everything. He will make the world better. That's how he, like, that ties into Viego as, like, this toxic, controlling boyfriend, where it's like, Viego cares very much for Isolde. Like, he loves her deeply, genuinely, from the bottom of his heart, but the way that he is as a person, the way that he expresses that love, turns toxic with obsession. But that's the promise of Viego, right? It's like, just surrender to me. Just give yourself over, and I will show you, like, everything will be made better. I'll take care of everything. You don't have to worry about a damn thing, because Viego's... Like, that's the seduction, right? The seduction is that he takes advantage of people who are in despair by offering them, well, with my kingly authority, I will make Demacia pay. I will make Demacia better. And that's how he gets Shyvana, is by preying on her resentment and her despair over the persecution of her kind in Demacia. So that's really good. That works really well. I wish Shyvana had been allowed to be a character in the novel for more than 2.5 combined minutes. Like, she's here, she gets ruined. Like, she and again, this is another one of those moments. Like, they run into Shyvana, and she's, like, surrendering to despair. They see her at the moment of her ruination. And then Shyvana shakes the surrounding walls of the Mage Seeker compound. Heavy pieces of petricite brick begin to fall. And then... oh, okay, the building fell down, and cut to black. This happens, like, too many times in the story where, like, oh, scary thing happens, cut to black. Like, it's often used as a kind of cheap way to build tension, that, oh no, we have to escape from the thing which is collapsing or exploding, or, like, some environmental hazard that has to be overcome, as a cheap way to generate, I call it cheap. Like, I feel it's a very cheap way to generate tension, that I just, like, instead of actually having a longer scene with Shyvana, confronting her, talking to her, hearing her out, having her seen, she just gets angry, shakes the building, and then she just leaves. And you don't get to spend any more time with her until, like, yeah, after we've had this scene with Viego, which is fine. Like, the Viego scenes in the Sentinels of Light novels are generally good. Like, Viego generally presents, like, he speaks with this aggressively romantic, poetic voice, like, no matter, I will reclaim every bit of my aspect of come to my love. Like, he speaks in a way that is good for a villain. Like, he makes a credible villain for the story. Although, again, the problem is that, like, every time the Sentinels confront him, he just fucks off. Like, he just leaves. Like, and there's never really an opportunity, like, to have... And that's the thing about, like, establishing him as a threat, is, like, Viego, every time you meet him, he just, like, either he's like, oh, well, my servant, go attack them for us, or else, like, you sort of have a half confrontation with him and then he just fucks off, where, yeah, like, I feel like there would have been opportunities to establish him as, like, a more credible, direct villain. And, like, yeah, and here it happens, like, immediately again, like, Viego leaves, and the building begins to shake, and oh no, building is falling down, everyone must run away, and now we need to play another 10 normal matches in order to see what happens. Like, it's this moment of, like, oops, we need to establish dramatic tension to have a cliffhanger, so that people can get booted out, told to play X normal games, in order to see what happens next. Like, oh, how shall they escape from this terrible predicament? It's cheap tension. Like, that's designed specifically to, like, to give you a kick of engagement, so that you're, oh shit, like, there's some tension here, I need to see what happens next. Which, and the reason it feels cheap is because, like, if the story was good, then you wouldn't need to do that in order to keep people, like, people would keep playing even if you didn't have a cliffhanger every time you kick people out to the screen. I will say I understand why the writers would have chosen to do that, like why they would have chosen to kick you back out to have a moment of tension before they have to kick you back out. Because if I was a writer and I was told, no, you need to interrupt this scene, 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 we need to we need to kick the player out 14 times over the course of this chapter or whatever to play normal games, I would definitely have the feeling of, like, oh shit, I need some kind of hook. Like, I need some kind of fucking reason for people to come back and want to give a shit about the story that I'm writing. Like, I need something. Like, I would have trouble trusting that my writing could pull people back in just because they want to see what happens next without that cliffhanger. Like, if I was told to present my writing in that way, that's an interpretation from me. That's not necessarily how the writers felt, but like, I could see that, like, as part of the reason why they keep choosing these cheap moments of tension and drama, because, like, yeah, like, you are struggling mightily to establish a story here because you don't have enough time or space to explore the characters or really get into the flow of things. Like, Shyvana, we get, like, one brief conversation moment where she talks to herself. That's the other thing about Shyvana, is, like, the concept behind it is good, but why, like, when you meet Shyvana for the first time, No one talks to her. Like, she just kind of stands there, monologues to herself, and she's like, oh, I'm angry, and then she gets ruined and fucks off. But you don't have a conversation with her. Like, you don't establish a dynamic, or, like, the Sentinels, like, there's no... You don't even get to sort of, like, the Sentinels don't even get to try and appeal to her better nature. Like, Shyvana, no, like, I heard you were a loyal retainer to Prince Jarvan, and she's like, I do care for him, but, like, there's no... In visual novels, like, and just, like, in stories in general, character is brought out through interaction. Like, characters bounce off of each other. That's kind of how you get a sense for them. There's never that. Like, she just kind of shows up after the Sentinels have chased Viego to the city gates, and then she has this new outfit, and she's substantially sort of more conventionally attractive, which I resent, but see my What's the Deal with Shyvana video for more about that. And now she sort of gives the speech, like, the benevolent King of Ruination will shape this land for the better, where she sort of delivers, like, why did she fall? Well, because she has been convinced that the benevolent King of Ruination will shape this land for the better. But again, Vayne just kind of shoots her, and that's in keeping with Vayne's character. By the way, question, how the fuck does Shyvana know Vayne's name? They've never been introduced. Anyway, like, Vayne just finally remembers that she's supposed to be a like, unfeeling monster hunter and just shoots Shyvana immediately. Oh, hey, that makes sense all of a sudden. But it just cuts off any opportunity, again, for the characters to have any kind of meaningful interaction. And it's like, this could have been structured very differently. Like, this could have been structured very differently. And we could have had some actual exploration of Shyvana. Like, we could have had a cutaway scene of her, making her, like, a major secondary character instead of just this random NPC boss fight that you run into that's used as yet another excuse to kick you out to the screen where you're told to play X number of normal games in order to progress. At which point, after a grueling fight, you and the Sentinels finally managed to bring down Shyvana. And this is the thing, is like, as a player, like, when I've spent 10 normal games building up points, or however long it takes, to get, like, where we cut away right before the epic fight between the Sentinels of Light and Dragon Shyvana, when we go back to that, I don't want to come in like, oh, yes, there has been an epic battle. You didn't get to see it, but trust me, oh, wow, so cool. Like, stuff happened, and people were shooting, and pew-pew, and bang-bang, and then roar, roar, dragon stuff. But yeah, trust me, just it was a cool battle, and now Shyvana's defeated. Don't worry about it. Like, I would have liked, like, okay, I have played now, and I have earned these tokens, and now reward me by showing me a cool-ass fight scene. Like, by giving me something like, oh, fuck yeah, it's like Lucian and Vayne and Senna and Gwen versus Dragon Shyvana. Yeah, like I want to see some cool shit happen, which is where one of my criticisms I've made is, like, did you not have the budget and time to get, like, Riot has some of the best game artists on the face of the earth. Could they not have done, like, not a ton of them, but some like, big, cool splash pages of, like, oh yeah, here is Shyvana versus the Sentinels, a big, cool splash page. Like, static illustration, doesn't even need to be an animation, just showing the cool, epic battle that was happening there, or like they're doing in Legends of Runeterra right now, these little mini comics that sort of play out over the screen, that sort of play out little scenes. Like it would have added, like, I'm not saying that's stuff that, oh, they could just have done that, like, they could just have pulled that out of their ass. No, it requires a commitment of time and resources and development time and Q&A and, like the testing and translation, and, like, it needs to be tested in various markets for cultural sensitivity. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, but, like, fucking Riot Games, like, one of the richest, like, you make so much fucking money, what's the fucking point if you don't reinvest it into the game in a way that the players can appreciate? Because this feels cheap, like, to have been told that, yeah, the epic battle between Shyvana and the Sentinels of Light is coming right up, and then cut away to black, and then cut back and like, ooh, that was an epic battle that you didn't... Like, it feels like such a fucking cock tease. And that's another thing that the Sentinels of Light event does over and over again, is, like, it sets up this, oh man, tension is building and shit is about to go down, it's about to be really cool. Play 10 normal games, and then just sort of pretend to imagine in your head that the action of the normal game that you're in, where the jungler goes 0-9 and flames the entire team and DCs at 10 minutes, that corresponds somehow to the cool action that's happening in the story. Like, role-play yourself as a Sentinel of Light doing cool monster killer shit, because we're not gonna bother showing that to you at all. Like, just you have to just do it yourself. We don't want to, like, why do you come to us to show you cool stuff? Imagine it in your own head, you stupid asshole. Like, I'm being a little extreme here, but that's kind of how it feels. And that's not how you want this to feel, like when it's the epic battle with Rue and Shyvana, that like pricey special event skin that you made for her. But that's where we're at. And so, like, and this is here again, like, we get the first moment of like character development for Vayne, right? Like, Shyvana is down, Vayne is like, okay, I'm just gonna shoot this dragon lady in the head and kill her because I am a blood psychopath who wants to murder monsters, and I get off on it. And this is supposed to be her first moment of like character development, where they go, hey, how about you don't do that for once, actually? Like, if instead of doing that, how about you not do that? And Vayne is like, fine. Like, that's the first moment of her relenting, right? It's supposed to be a moment of development for her. It's very truncated, it's very rushed, but it's supposed to be a moment of development for her, where, okay, this person who like previously was just like, I'm gonna kill all the monsters and I don't give a shit, is like willing to listen to the group and be like, fine, I'll spare her for now, but next time I see her, it's supposed to be that little moment of give that presages the character arc that she's going through. Except that doesn't work because she wasn't introduced as a violent killer who just will murder anything that looks monstrous on sight. She wasn't introduced that way, so there's no moment of change for her there. She's just, like, the way it plays for someone who's never read the lore is just that Vayne is deciding to be a bit of a mistrustful dick, but not that this is, like, a fundamental part of her character that is then changed by, like, the intervention of the other people. It's like, like, never leave a monster alive, right? Except half wraith right there, creepy haunted doll brought to life by magic mist right there. What the fuck are you talking about, Vayne? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, actually? This is not your character. And it sort of feels like it's relying on someone to have already read the lore and already know this. But then at the same time, there's all these choices in the visual novel that are designed specifically to appeal to people who don't already know this, like who haven't read the lore, like to bring them into the story and explain things to them, which again is part of the tonal whiplash of this story. On the one hand, it seems at times to just blanketly assume that you know the lore, and like if we just give you like some basic hints, you can work out the rest for yourself, and we don't need to explain anything to you. And then at other times, it just like completely explains things to you like you are 5, because it's also trying to bring casual players into the story. It's like it's all over the place. Like this thing doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know what it wants to do, and that's the source of so many of this goddamn thing's problems. Sentinel Vayne is a cool character design, though. Like I do like Sentinel Vayne as an update to her character design. The way that she looks in her base design, it's a little bit transparently like a sort of Bayonetta riff with like a bit of blade. Like it's very much like riffing on a bunch of pop culture archetypes a little bit too obviously. She's always felt out of place in Demacia and in a fantasy universe. Like she feels like she comes straight out of like a Vampire the Masquerade source book or something. She's never really felt that Rune Terran. Here, like, the sunglasses still give her a little bit of that modern flair, but this at least looks a lot more like, okay, this is some sort of fantasy paladin character now. Like, okay, like, that makes her fit a little bit more into Valoran and Runeterra as a whole, I think. So, like, I like her character design. I also like the sprites. I said this in my Sentinels of Light video, but, like, the sprite work in this thing is genuinely very good. Like, Gwen's little adorable sprite, like the pose, you can tell what kind of character Gwen is immediately just by looking at her sprite, right? Like, you can tell, like, sort of, the disposition of Lucian and Sen. Like, there's a lot of good character work going on in the sprites that sort of communicates who these characters are, with some simple little gestures. Oh, and then there's Vex. Oh, man. We'll talk about her in the next video, because you remember when I said that my Sentinels of Light roast was going to be like a 2-parter? Yeah, no, this is Don't Stress December, so I'm gonna milk this cow for all the milk that it will give, as it were. Anyway, if you've enjoyed me complaining about the first chapter of the Sentinels of Light, we'll come back for the next one, where we're heading to the Freljord to talk a little bit about, again, the way that this thing mixes tone and doesn't necessarily do a great job of it, but also some of the stuff that I genuinely like when this thing decides to be sort of a comedy, fun times adventure, that it is actually kind of charming. And we'll talk about Vex as well, who, oh lord, poor Vex. Like, man, the way that she was attached to this whole goddamn event, she was done dirty. Anyway, yes, it's Don't Stress December, so, you know, if you want to like, comment, subscribe, you can do that. I have a Patreon, blah, 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 monetization. If you want to help me out this month, I really do appreciate it, because yeah, it's, it's more necessary than usual. I'm not in trouble or anything. Like, don't worry about me. Don't feel compelled to, oh no, my parasocial YouTuber man favorite is in trouble. I need to spend your money on Christmas presents for your loved ones first. Like, once you've bought the Christmas presents and like you've made sure that you can travel to see your family and all that, once you've done that, then if you have a little bit left over and you want to pass some of that on to me, I will appreciate it. But like, Christmas presents first. Like, I don't want to. You better buy your little sister something nice. I'm just saying. Yeah, but if you want to do that, very appreciative. You absolutely do not have to, though. Outside of that, thanks for watching. Remember to wear a mask and wash your hands still. Yes, fucking still. I want it to be over, but we still have to. And try to act with solidarity towards those who are worse off than yourself.